Welcome back to the BTS Happy Hour podcast. I'm your host, Andrea. With me as always is Morgan.
Hey, what's up?
BTS has released 2 sets of teaser photos for Butter. One set featured them in an elevator, and they seem to be wearing nice suits and dress clothes. And another set, they were posing in a very similar styled room, like maybe another room in that same building where that elevator is. And some of them shown posing with foods that contain butter, such as pancakes with butter and popcorn. So in the first set of photos, they look very businesslike. They look dressed up. They're wearing nice suits. It looked very vintage, like it's meant to look like the 50s and 60s maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get a sense of what that kind of looked like, the first ones?
I would agree with you that it's meant to sort of look like, if you're familiar with a show called Mad Men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It sort of looks like that.
Mad Men. Okay, yeah. So you think it's more like early 60s kind of style that they had on that. Yeah, I would agree. And I think it similar to Vegas too, like old Vegas from like the Rat Pack time.
That's early 60s, yeah.
Oh yeah, same time. Okay. So then like, yeah, that was making me think of Ocean's 11 a little bit, like the photo, the first group photo. And they had some very slim cuts on the suit to look like. So maybe that's typical of that era. I don't know for sure, but the second set of photos, it had them, they looked a little bit edgier, and they had some different combinations that used sheer fabrics and leather vests or leather suspenders and shorts. And this set of photos, they look more like troublemakers. I don't know what exactly they were going for, but it looked more like they were going to cause trouble. Like it reminded me of War of Hormone a little bit, one of their old videos, but except now like an updated version of it, like people who are going to go and cause trouble. So I thought it had kind of a like Victorian influence a little bit, or maybe steampunk, one of those, just because they were using sheer fabrics, but then also using different metallic accessories. So I don't know if they were trying to go for futuristic or if that was their way of dressing up that look. Just because there was like metal accents.
I don't know. I didn't get steampunk from it. It's really hard to read anything to it. It's just a couple promo pictures.
Yeah, but I think usually when they have the teaser photos, that's what they're wearing in the video, right?
Is it?
I think that's what happened with Dynamite. I don't know. I mean, and then Boy With Love, I'm pretty sure that had the same outfits. So I'm trying to get a sense of what is the video going to be about, like based on the 2 sets of photos that we got. So I did come up with a storyline in my head of what it could be. And you remember the show Hustle, right?
Yeah, this old British show. Yeah,
it's a British show from like the 2000s. And basically it's this group of con artists, and they con like rich people, but then it's like rich people that quote unquote deserve it. Like they did bad things, so they deserve to have their money stolen or whatever by this group of con artists. So that's the plot of that show, but I feel like it fits these outfits. Like they could be this group of con artists.
That seems like a stretch. You think they're like con artists or something?
Yeah, because the first set of photos when they're all in suits, it looks like we're trying to fit into wherever we need to fit in, like the, casino or the wherever, where we have to look like, we have to pretend we're businessmen or pretend we're like high rollers or whatever. So that's why they're all dressed up in that photo. But then in the other photo, they look like they're bad guys. They look like they're villains maybe. So that could be, we're planning out our mission.
Could be. I think you're reading a lot into it. I think they're probably just wearing suits.
I'm probably reaching and probably like totally wrong.
They're just wearing suits. The stylist styled them in suits. Maybe. I don't think it's going to be that deep. Keep in mind, this is a pop song named Butter.
They seem to be using butter in the photos too. Like, oh, look, here's literal butter in the photo. So I think that's going to be in the video. Like, it's going to play some kind of part.
Yeah.
Actual butter is going to be in it and have to do with it.
Maybe it's going to have a huge narrative like you think.
Yeah, because
I doubt it though.
A lot of their videos don't have a narrative, but maybe this will be the one time where they do something a little different and have a plot line. It's like, oh, we're trying to pull a scam, and then funny things happen.
But the name of the song is Butter.
Yeah, we don't know how that plays into it.
Think about how nonsensical Dynamite was. Didn't have a lot of narrative. It was pleasant, but it didn't have a lot of story to it. I would guess that that's probably going to be the same thing.
And BTS has kept the details of Butter secret still. I haven't seen any leaks. I haven't seen any person who's a songwriter who said, yeah, I worked on it, or I helped with it, or this or that. So they're keeping it very top secret. So we're not getting clues from anybody who wrote the song, because sometimes you could tell, oh, here's the kind of song they write usually, and extrapolate.
What happens if it's just about butter and how they love eating butter and the butter is tasty? Because let's freaking admit it, butter is a very important part of most cuisines, right? Like, it's a very important part of French cuisine. I guess not most. I mean, if like your cuisine depends on its fat, like Italian cuisine is olive oil based. They don't use butter a lot. Asian cuisines also don't use butter.
Indian food uses butter.
Yes, but they call it clarified butter.
Right, a ghee.
It's slightly different. Asian cuisines don't use it a lot either.
Well,
they use like peanut oil and stuff like that.
Oils.
Right. Like the fat they use is slightly different.
So you think it'll be similar to Stray Kids' God's Kitchen, where it's like, we're just going to have this be about what it says?
I don't even think it'll be that deep, I'll be honest with you. I think it's just going to be American songwriters help them write an American song, and it's just they just pick the word. Dynamite was a previous one. Means nothing. But that doesn't mean it's a bad song. It's going to be a pleasant song. You love listening to it. It's not going to be very deep.
I saw on Twitter that the bus, the Columbia Records bus that has Butter, you know how they go around the country and then the radio DJs, the selected ones, can hear the song ahead of time?
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, that's something that they do. It seems very inefficient to me. But
what?
A bus literally drives around the country.
Why?
And goes to each city that they need to go to, and then that DJ goes into the bus and can listen to Butter, and then
for what purpose?
So that they know what it sounds like, and they can, like, I don't know, hype it up on their radio show or something.
They don't need to know what it sounds like to hype it up. If they receive instructions to say, hey, hype up this song, the DJs can do it. They'll just say, hey, this awesome new song from BTS, guys.
Yeah, I don't know why they do it that way, but it seems very inefficient.
Do they discuss like the musical intricacies of the song or what? No, they don't. They just say, hey, it's a new song from BTS. You all know them. Aren't you excited? It does not require listening to the song.
I know they can't release it ahead of time, and that's probably why they do this bus thing, but it seems like that is a lot of effort.
Why not just email a clip?
No, but then that guy would have the clip ahead of time. They don't want it being leaked.
It's a pop song. Radio DJ in Tennessee or whatever, all he needs to know that it's a pop song from BTS. That's everything he needs to know to hype it up. I
mean, I think BTS doesn't have to worry about convincing people that hard anymore, but I think a lot of artists, it's like, oh, please listen to our song. You know, it's really good.
Oh, are you saying it's like they do that so that the DJs will play it more? We know that's not how it works. We know that the amount of play is based on how much money you spend.
Well, there has to be a reason why they do this system.
I guess maybe we're wrong. I mean, I thought it was just payola that determines how much play you get.
I mean, I'm sure there is payola. That can't determine like 100% of what's on the list, though. Maybe some of this. I thought it
determined 100%.
Maybe some of this is like, well, let's listen to the merits of certain songs and see if they're any good.
You think like each radio station they like determine the merits of each song based on listening? Maybe they do. I don't know. I've never worked at one.
Well, the thing is, artists aren't going to use payola for every single time. You know, that's just like burning money. It's like, just do it when, okay, we really want this one to be a hit this time. Let's spend tons of money.
I was under the impression that songs only get played based on payola.
Yeah, I don't think they do it 100% of the time. Because I've seen where, like, okay, Cardi B had a song and it went nowhere. And it's 'cause the song was fine. It's just as good as her other songs. But, you know, it didn't get to number one for whatever reason.
Okay. So they send a bus around and then the people come in and they listen to it.
Yeah. And maybe it's all for show.
I think it's almost like 95% who pays to have airplay gets airplay.
Well, I thought maybe they do this bus thing because they want to let the DJs come up with their own ways to describe it rather than here's the blurb that we're giving to everybody. And
DJs even describe it though? They just sort of say this is the new song from so-and-so, right? That's what the way I feel. They just say, hey, this is a new song from so-and-so.
Yeah, on the radio. But now it seems like DJs are very social media. It's that kind of a job where you do a lot of tweeting about things and you have opinions and stuff.
Okay. It seems so inefficient though.
Yeah.
Why not just give them a Snapchat of the song so they don't have... Well, I guess they could just save it.
Yeah, people know all the
the DJs
all the
know how to do
loopholes
that
of
too,
those.
yeah. You know, I don't know. Just tell them it's a new BTS song. Play it, guys. At this point, that's all you have to say. Do you really have to convince anybody?
Yeah, they shouldn't have to. But there was a Rolling Stone article that just came out, and it gave us some more details describing it. So they said, like the lighthearted Dynamite, Butter has no heavy message. It's a pure, swaggering dance pop celebration in the retro vein of Bruno Mars, with layers of Jam and Lewis-style synths, and boasts of being smooth like butter and having a superstar glow. And RM says it's very energetic and very summery and has very dynamic performance.
Good. I don't want a deep song.
Yeah, so it definitely, from that description, it sounds retro, throwback, kind of like a Bruno Mars song.
Mm-hmm.
And then since they have smooth like butter in quotes and superstar glow in quotes, I'm assuming those are direct quotes of lyrics. So those words are going to be in there. So, I mean, that's as much as we know now. We don't know who the writer is or anything else, but just some brief description about the song. On May 11th, McDonald's Twitter posted a BTS meal comeback schedule, basically marketing this the same as a K-pop song comeback. So I thought this was pretty hilarious that they're doing it this way. I'm pretty sure they didn't do that for Travis Scott or J Balvin meals. Like, probably it just came out that day and just like, oh, here it is. But I don't know, McDonald's decided, let's make this really K-pop-y and have a comeback schedule, and we'll have concept photos. And so far they've released who's who photos, and all that was like, it showed BTS eating the BTS meal, showed them like dunking their nuggets and eating fries and stuff. It didn't show their heads, so that's the who's who part of this. And you're supposed to guess, like, oh, which person is sitting here and which person is doing this. So I thought that was a very new strategy from McDonald's. Although I noticed they're one of those social media accounts that is like trying to be funny all the time. You know how companies do that now?
They should all try to do that.
Yeah, they're one of those where it's like, oh, we're making jokes all the time, or we're standing this or that, and you know, getting into the conversation about things that don't have to do with your product really, but it's like, let's just try to go viral with something. So McDonald's is definitely getting in on that. And with this whole schedule, it's like they have concept photos coming out in this coming week, and then the BTS meal CF reveal, I don't know what that is, and lunch party 1, 2, 3, and then a making of film later on. So they have all sorts of like things that they want to release related to this meal. So it's like, wow, you guys are making a really big deal. It's just a 10 nugget meal with different sauces. So that brings me to a topic of some fans are questioning BTS a little bit for their working with McDonald's on this deal. And I guess very recently, I didn't know this, but there's a lot going on with McDonald's and their workers. And there's some set of workers are trying to get higher minimum wage. I don't know if that's just McDonald's workers or just like, you know, they're part of a bigger group that's working on this. And, you know, just in general, a lot of people think McDonald's doesn't treat their workers very well compared to, let's say, In-N-Out or other places that pay more and then give a lot more benefits. Because I think if you work at McDonald's, I don't think you get health insurance or, you know,
probably not.
You don't get much beyond. So I found an article on this, and it says McDonald's cashiers and cooks in 15 cities will go on strike May 19th, a day before McDonald's annual shareholder meeting, to demand McDonald's pay all of its workers at least $15 an hour amid the national labor shortage in the fast food industry. And I mean, we all know with the pandemic that businesses suffered, and so now they're trying to get back going again, and they're having a hard time getting enough workers at this moment. And so McDonald's has been, in this article's opinion, getting desperate for employees, and they're offering worker bonuses and incentives for people to sign up to work. So some people think, well, why don't you just pay more and then you'll get tons of workers? And it's like, well, if they did that, then they'd have to raise like every single person's salary then. And that would make it very difficult to operate.
It's a complicated issue. Obviously, you'd have to raise costs, right? It's not so simple as just pay everybody more. But at the same time, this is a good time for people who work at McDonald's to sort of leverage their advantage, because it's hard to get workers right now. Like you said, there's shortages right now. I don't go to McDonald's that often, but the last time I was there, it said, we're not open for indoor dining, but it's legal to open for indoor dining.
You're allowed to be open for it
Yeah.
now.
And it's clear that for a lot of these places, the reason why is they have a labor shortage. So if there was any time for people who work there to leverage the situation and try to get better pay, then this is the time. And, I have nothing against that. But at the same time, I'm not so sure they're going to be successful. And I don't think you're like entitled to a certain amount of pay. Like, you're not entitled to a living wage. You're just entitled to whatever you're able to negotiate. Mm-hmm. That's my belief. You're entitled to what you're able to negotiate. But they have the leverage right now to negotiate something better. So it makes sense for them to use that leverage and try to negotiate a better salary. That's fine. So some BTS fans are thinking like, well, we shouldn't support McDonald's during this time, right?
Yeah, they're like, I'm not comfortable with BTS aligning with McDonald's, who I think is a bad employer.
Right.
And, they're supporting it. And then they might even be helping McDonald's.
Well, here's the thing about
this
that
situation.
On the one hand, that's your right. So you don't have to patronize a company that you don't want to patronize. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to go to McDonald's, that's your right. Don't go to McDonald's for whatever reason. It doesn't even matter what your reason is. You don't have to shop there. Your reasoning is that, they exploit workers or something like that, or they have low paid workers somewhere. I hate to tell you, but you're going to have to go off the grid and consume nothing if you want to avoid that entirely. You can't shop at Walmart. You can't shop at McDonald's. You can't even buy your iPhone. Okay. What can you buy?
You can't have a
You can
car.
buy you can buy stuff from like a local mom and pop shop. That's about it, maybe. All your major needs, if you want to like transact with a major tech company or transact with a major chain, you cannot do it, because I guarantee you they all on some place in the supply chain, they utilize low wage workers. They do. So are you going to detach from modern society and the supply chain, the modern economy? You can. It's possible, but guess what? I'm betting that you're not gonna. I bet you anything that you're going to post whatever, virtue signal thing you want to post on Reddit or Twitter, and then right after that, you're gonna go and buy all of those things that you bought before. Maybe you'll take a 1 month break from going shopping at McDonald's. But what about all the other things? What about all the other huge companies that utilize the supply chain, and somewhere along that supply chain, there are workers that, most reasonable people probably qualify as marginalized or taken advantage, or whatever your standards are, right? I bet you anything you're going to interact with one of those companies. And then what? Well, I'll tell you then what. And then you're a hypocrite, and you may as well not have bothered in the first place. But still, it's your right. It's your right. If you want to do it because it makes you feel better, go right ahead.
I don't think McDonald's is even that bad of a company. Like, having a wage that you think is too low isn't a human rights violation. That's what people are willing to work for. And if they can fill the slots paying that wage, that's fair, isn't it? That's what people are agreeing to.
That's an argument. Other people have fair arguments that are contrary to that.
But McDonald's isn't even abusing people. Like, they're just offering, here's the wage we're offering, and you don't think it's very good. Okay, well, you don't have to work there. We're comparing this to like an iPhone factory in China. If you want to know a bad worker situation, it's like working, I don't know, like 15-hour days, and you get paid like $1 an hour or whatever it is. It's like, it's a lot worse over there.
Yeah, that's fair. It is. Like, working conditions in China are much worse. And you people buy smartphones, and by you people, I mean me too, right? I buy a smartphone. I'm sure a lot of the production was in China, and it's in my pocket. I paid money for it. You're gonna find that the vast majority of products that you purchase are problematic in this way. The bottom line is, if you're interested in buying the BTS products at McDonald's or whatever, please, in my opinion, feel free. Just go do it. Don't limit yourself just because you feel like, I'm doing something bad. Well, yeah, yes, by this standard, but by this standard, you're doing something bad every day, all the time.
I just really dislike this whole trend of just you being a person participating in the economy. Oh, let me buy a BTS Happy Meal or whatever. And it's like, you can't even enjoy that anymore. Somebody has to find something problematic about it. And it's like, here's what's wrong with that. And no, you can't enjoy this because these things are wrong with it. There's things wrong with everything. If you look at it that way, it's like, there's just such a negative point of view. And things aren't fun anymore because someone always has to be woke and point out, this is what's wrong with that. You can't just enjoy fun things anymore. It's just supposed to be a K-pop McDonald's meal.
Yeah.
You know? And it's
K-pop
like,
McDonald's
it's
meal.
not up to BTS to fix whatever worker problems are going on in McDonald's. Like, they just signed on to advertise this one meal and,
Right.
you know, get a collab going and get some more awareness in America. It's like, that's all they're trying to get out of this. They're not trying to fix all of the problems for McDonald's workers. That's up to the workers. Like, if they all banded together, I'm sure they could get a lot done and get a better wage. If that's how it works, you know, it's between the labor and the company. It's not up to BTS who's just endorsing a product. That's like outside of that whole system. So I think everybody should feel free to buy the BTS meal and be happy about it. And if you want to buy the merch, you could buy the merch or not. I've seen also that the workers have started getting the shirts that they have to wear that say BTS and McDonald's on it. And it's already like people selling it on eBay and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't you have to wear that shirt first? How are you going to sell it immediately? So, I mean, that's capitalism too. It's like you see people get these valuable shirts that they think people will want to buy. And I think we should also just keep in mind that the jobs at McDonald's are meant to be entry-level jobs. Most of them, if you're not at the management level or whatever, they're just meant to be entry-level. So it's the kind of job where you learn skills like time management and working hard and stuff like that and listening to directions. It's the kind of jobs for younger people or, you know, pre-college or during college, like get that kind of job to gain experience. And then you're supposed to move on and get other kinds of jobs once you've learned more skills. It's not meant to be like, I'm supporting a full family with this wage. It's like, it's not meant to do that. So I don't think you should expect it to. And I think that's one of the things people think. They have it in their mind already when it comes to like worker wages and stuff like that. And that's just not really how it works in capitalism. So I don't know if you've heard about this, but HBO Max is putting together a reunion of the cast of the show Friends, and it has a premiere date on May 27th. And you can ask, oh, what does that have to do with BTS? It says the wild and diverse guest star list includes David Beckham, Justin Bieber, BTS, James Corden, Lady Gaga, all these other celebrities. And it's like, wait, why does it include BTS on this? The Friends reunion. We watched Friends. I'm sure a lot of people listening
A lot of people watch
Friends. If not live, then I'm sure you've seen it in syndication. And it was on Netflix for a long time, so I think that's how a lot of people watched all of the seasons. And I'm sure that this special is going to be one of those things where it's like they're just sitting around talking. It's like, hey, remember this episode and this and that? And like all these celebrities are probably going to have their own parts taped separately, and they're like, this was my favorite moment, or this was my favorite friend, and I identify with this person and stuff like that. And they're probably going to have, you know, celebrities saying like their whatever anecdotes about Friends. And we all know the story about RM and how his mom bought all the DVDs.
Which I think is just a story, by the way.
we know that story, and that's how he learned English.
I don't think that's how he learned English. He went to a school. He was taught how to speak English.
He got the DVD for Friends and watched them. But I guarantee you this segment is just going to be something like that, where he repeats that story again. Or, you know, they say, oh, you know, it played a big part in us learning English and phrases and pop culture. And it's just going to be very brief like that. And I just don't know is that even worth BTS's time to be on this show? Are they just kind of clout chasing there because they just want to get like the biggest celebrities possible to be on this Friends
Is BTS
reunion?
clout chasing or Friends clout chasing?
Friends is clout chasing.
Oh yeah, we're in this situation now where it's all reversed, huh?
Yeah.
I think Friends are clout chasing.
Yeah.
Because right now, who knows about Friends? It's like an old person show right now.
It
I hate saying that because like I watched it.
It ended a while ago now.
And these people who are bringing back, they're old now. Does anyone really even want to see a Friends reunion? I do, but I don't know.
But think about it. Like, who is the people that watched Friends? They're a certain age group.
I think they are just jumping on this BTS bandwagon. But can you blame them? It was a layup for them.
Yeah.
RM kept talking about how he used Friends to learn English.
Yeah.
True or not?
You have to go with that. That's perfect.
That's perfect. Like, whoever's making this comeback or whatever. I mean, they've been to the set. You know, they have that set where people can visit.
Yeah.
They've done that whole thing. It's a perfect segue. And, you know, I think there's some mutual benefit too. Maybe BTS can reach some people who they had not reached before. That's possible.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't hurt them by any means. But I think that most of the benefit is on the Friends side.
They can get some younger BTS fans
to
tune in, and it's like, well, let's see what BTS says about this.
Think about, is a reunion, it's a movie or a series or what?
I don't think they have a show. I think it's them sitting around talking. The Friends
sitting around talking?
The Friends cast. Yeah.
Well, how's BTS going to make a cameo in them sitting around talking?
Well, I think all the celebrity guests are going to have their own separate taped segments.
Oh, and where is this airing?
HBO Max.
I think that they're clout chasing, but I think it's totally fine because I think it's a mutually beneficial arrangement. Think about how many BTS fans are going to tune in just for the BTS segment. That's going to boost their numbers quite a bit. And I think BTS is fine with it because it entrenches them more into just American media and pop culture.
Yeah, they're like, we love Friends.
They have no problem with it.
Just like you, we love Friends.
On the off chance that this story is true and not total BS, like I think it is, which I don't know for sure that it's total BS. I just think it's total BS. But maybe RM didn't learn a lot of English from Friends. So maybe he does feel some kind of way about it. It's nostalgic for him, maybe.
Yeah, and I think the reason BTS is involved in this is because the person directing it is Ben Winston, who is the same guy that executive produced James Corden's show and the Grammys. So he knows all about BTS. He knows about that story. I'm sure he's like, oh, this will be great to include.
Right.
And he was also on Twitter because some fans were like getting really excited. They're like, oh my God, BTS is going to be on this. That's so great. And I think he might be kind of worried that fans are expecting too much, like, oh, BTS is going to be on there and they'll be talking for 20 minutes or something about Friends and how much they love it. So he was tweeting kind of like downplaying it. He's like, oh, this is a really good interview, but it's a short segment and I just want to manage your expectations on this. And they're just on there talking briefly about why they like Friends. So he was just trying to, like, I don't see him saying that about any of the other people who are going to be on. It's like, oh, when Cindy Crawford talks about her favorite Friends episode, it's not going to be very long. So just to manage your expectations. Like, he's only saying that to ARMY because he knows, like, if it's not exactly what they think it's going to be, there's going to be a lot of, like, angry tweets and stuff.
Right.
So I just thought that was funny that he's like, oh, wait, let me make sure that they know what to expect. But yeah, I guess that's a pretty interesting note that they'll be included, and it is beneficial to both sides that they're on the show.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, and probably their segment is not going to be very long. It's like less than 2 minutes or something.
It's just going to be RM talking.
It would really surprise me if they started talking about like in-depth plot lines. And
no,
it's
like, how many people actually watched it? 0, I bet you.
But what if RM was like, I was really invested in Rachel and Joey, and why didn't that last? Or, you know, if he,
really? I would lose respect for him.
Or what if he said, I thought Monica should have stayed with Richard and not dated Chandler? Like, what if he said something crazy like that?
That would be crazy. It would prove that he actually watched the show or was told by some intern.
I want to see him have like a really specific opinion like that proves like, oh, he definitely watched like every single season.
He didn't. You're not going to see that.
So there was a controversy this week. On May 13th, GOT7's Jay B was on Instagram Live and he was talking to his fans, and he was online for the first time in a while because, you know, GOT7 left JYP, and so now they're all going their separate ways and doing stuff. And I guess just recently he signed with a different label, And so he's talking about his album that is coming out soon. So it was kind of a typical live. It's like, hey, here's what's going on that's new with me. And the part that's controversial about this is like he was in his room and he at one point changed the angle of the camera, and then you could see more of what was on his walls. And he had a lot of like photographs on the wall, and some of them were like naked photos or like nude photos, but like artistic photos. Like you could kind of see in the background. Right. It was small, but people like looked at it. They're like, "Wait, what's that? Is that like a naked person, or what's going on there?" So when that aired, people were talking about it on Twitter, and then there's like very like pixely screenshots of it. They're like, "Oh my God, what is that?"
Right.
So some people were shocked about it, and they're like, "Oh, that's weird. Why does he have those kind of photos on his wall?" And I don't think it. From the comments I saw, it wasn't people were like, "Oh my God, I'm so offended." They were just kind of shocked or like taken aback. And they thought, well, maybe you shouldn't have those kind of photos on your wall in case you have like younger fans watching this live stream. So he got criticized for that. And the next day, his label, which is called Higher Music, they apologized and they said that, well, you know, JB is a big fan of art and photography, and those were the kind of photos that were on display on his wall. Like they really wanted to say, oh, this isn't like porn or something. This is artistic kind of naked photos. So it's like they wanted to make a point to say that. And they said, well, he apologizes and he didn't want to expose it to, you know, all the age groups, and, you know, we apologize. And then he also issued his own apology too. And he's like, oh, these are photos from an artist that I follow, and I will be more careful so that people of all ages who are watching, they won't be offended. So that's what happened there. I think most fans, like, they just kind of laughed about it, and it wasn't, I didn't see a lot of anger. It was just like, oh, that's funny. There was memes even.
Right.
So
So no one was that upset.
I don't think so. Out of like English comments I saw, maybe Korean netizens may have been more bothered by it. I don't know, but I mean, it's enough that they apologized. But maybe that deflated all of the people that were angry since they addressed it right away.
Well, I didn't quite see what the pictures were. I saw a link that sort of showed some idea of it, and yeah, they seemed like more artistic nudes. It wasn't just pornography.
Yeah.
So I guess it's, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, it's his wall. Like, whatever can be on his wall, that's his right. Even if he wants to have porn on his wall, why can't he? Is he not an adult?
Yeah. And probably he's in a different label now that isn't going to be as strict about it. Like, it's probably like a P Nation kind of label where it's like, okay, just, you know, you do your own thing and then we're fine with it. It's not like you're in the big three anymore, and it's like really strict content.
So I have no problem with it. That's cool though. I mean, good on you. I mean, you're just gonna have like naked pictures on your wall. Good, excellent. I wouldn't do that personally, but that's excellent that he did. It didn't seem like people were too upset. I'm pleasantly surprised that people didn't seem that upset about it.
Yeah, I didn't see anyone demanding his cancellation.
Like, why? He's a grown adult. He can have this stuff on his wall if he wants. Now, if you want to do a live stream and peek into his life, well, that's on you. Be prepared to see what might be in a grown adult's home. It did seem pretty spicy, though. I mean, I wouldn't have that stuff on my wall, but whatever.
Well, I understand, like, a lot of times there's art and it has nudity in it, but sometimes art is just like, it just isn't going for some amazing complex theme. It's just like, oh, I'm a photographer and I like naked women. And those are things I take pictures of.
Yeah, you know, lots of photographers, they just do like naked women. That's true.
Yeah, there's some like, scuzzy photographers out there. It's like, that's all I do because, yeah, that's sexy. And that's what I want to see is naked women.
That's not scuzzy necessarily. That's just what they like. Hey, bro, if you want to put that stuff on your wall, I think that's awesome. I don't have that stuff on my wall, but you know what? I might want to have that stuff on my wall if I were braver than I actually am, but I don't.
And then there was some people there think there's kind of a double standard because what if there was a female idol, and then she showed her wall, and it had like penises or something, and then this girl said, "Well,
would it go worse or better?"
Yeah, I think it would be very bad for the girl.
Really?
Yeah, she'd probably be like benched from promotions
like
or something.
in Korea, yes, it would be.
Yeah,
I agree with that. But here, it would be the opposite, I think. I think that in the West, and it's not relevant because they're not Western artists, but in the West, I feel like a man putting up something like that, they would be labeled as misogynist. Whereas a woman, if they did put something up, it would just be like, wow, you're an empowered woman.
Yeah,
you know?
like let's say Miley Cyrus had that on her
like
wall.
nobody could criticize her, because if you criticize her, guess what you are? You're a misogynist.
There's no way you can criticize. Like,
yeah, can you criticize her? No, I don't think you can.
So it's basically the opposite situation from Korea as it is in America.
I think so. There's a double standard, but it's not a blanket double standard. Like, it's like, different in different parts of the world.
There's like two double standards.
Yeah. And I think double standards are all dumb. I think we should just say, hey, it's your home, correct? You can have on your wall what you want. It's not illegal. So anything up until the point of legality is fair play. Go ahead and have it on your wall. I think that's fine.
And art is supposed to create conversation. It's supposed to be something that, oh, that's interesting. Like, what do I think about that?
Even if it's not art, maybe he just wants to have women's body parts on his wall.
It's like, that's what I like to look at.
That's what I like to look at. It's sexually gratifying and I like to look at it. So what? Who are we to judge? Well, I mean, you have the right to judge. If you're a consumer and you don't want to consume his stuff anymore, that is also your right.
I think most people were okay with this situation.
Right. It's hilarious.
It is funny.
Yeah, what a hilarious faux pas,
Probably the other idols that he's friends with are like, that's hilarious, man. It's like, you put that on your wall.
Probably the other people he knows, because, if he has friends, they've been to his house, right?
Yeah.
They probably told him, you know what, you should probably not have that stuff on your wall. And he said, why? I love to look at the female form or whatever, or their crotches or something, right? And he said, well, what if you're doing a live stream one day and then it's in the frame? What about that? And then he probably said something like, oh, I'll be careful. And then boom, he wasn't careful, and then it's on there.
Right. He probably considered it at one point and was like, well, I'll just make sure that I have it aimed at this wall and then not this other wall. And then
what?
And forgot.
Yeah, he messed up. Just like his friends told him he would. And really, they were right and he was wrong.
I bet you the other GOT7 people, they probably have a group chat. They probably
know about it.
They probably thought this was hilarious.
They probably know about it. I almost guarantee you. They know about it and they told him already. Jackson Wang was probably like, you should probably not do this. You know that, right? And just said, no. Who's ever going to see this stuff? I'll just point it away from that particular wall. Can't you just have this on your computer? Ugh. I'm glad to see that people are pretty okay with it.
You know what? That's funny, though, now that you mention that. Like, yeah, I'm sure this was at his actual house. And then that's why those photos were there. But that makes me think of all the Hive artists. They always do these live things at the workplace. So they're at their company building where there's nothing on the walls.
Right.
That situation doesn't come up. But yeah, if you're doing these things from home, it's like, then who knows what's on there?
Right.
It's at risk. But yeah, I think overall it was a pretty humorous situation.
It was a hilarious situation. Maybe he has worse stuff. We're lucky we didn't see something else. It was just like artistic news, right?
Yeah, from photographs.
What if you put like photographs of him having sex with people on the wall? Now, why would you do that? I don't know. That would be pretty darn weird. But, well, maybe he would put that stuff up there. I don't know. I'm not a K-pop star. It didn't, right? It was just people verified it was just these artistic nudes.
Yeah, and then there was a fan on Twitter. They figured out like which exact photographer, and they're like, here's a link to that exhibit. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what that's from.
Well, at least it's an artistic exhibit and all that.
It's a legit thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Could have been worse, though.
Gotta be careful.
Because I'm sure he has, some more spicier stuff on his phone. What if he just blew that up and put it on his wall? Yeah. You really shouldn't do that.
That's like what Chris Evans did that one time. Remember, it was like...
showing his, penis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what happened with him was he...
It was on his phone, though. That was an honest mistake.
But then
wasn't it?
He showed the screenshot of what all the pictures were on his phone, and then that was like one of them, and you could see the little thumbnail of it.
Right.
And it was like, I guess he didn't realize that was one of the photos.
Right.
So it was like, yeah, you got to be careful when you're putting anything online.
Exactly, you do. Jesus Christ, you guys got to be careful, especially if you're famous. Come on.
Yeah, and you're doing anything from your phone. It's like,
Right.
whoop, if you click
Always
something.
double check, triple check whatever the hell you're sending out, because it's all on the same camera roll in your phone.
Yeah, like what if you have like a naked photo right next to like a food photo, and you're sending to people on your
and double check who you're sending it to.
Your contact list.
Because it's just like one person away. It's like, oh, this is my coworker and this is my girlfriend.
Right.
Right? And they're one person away. It's really dicey.
It's very tricky.
Somebody needs to invent some kind of program to sort of like prevent this sort of thing.
Yeah, some kind of fail-safe.
Yeah, because this is, I'm sure many, many bad things have happened because of this.
No, I've heard of that. Like situations where someone was having an affair or something, and then they sent the nude to like the wrong person or something like that. And it's like, well, you got busted.
Yep.
Yeah, there's that kind of
thing. Although if you're having an affair, that's who cares? That's your own fault.
You deserve to be caught. Thank you to our guest, Morgan. You can find BTS Happy Hour on Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other podcast platforms. New episodes weekly. If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. Follow BTS Happy Hour on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also go to the website at btshappyhour.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for additional content. Until next time, this has been the BTS Happy Hour. Thanks for listening, and remember, make every hour a happy one.